So hello everyone,
Hello.
welcome to the new day and new vlog. Today we have with us our beloved Muntasir, and today we thought that we'll talk about our seminar final milestone. You must have seen that for the past few days, on some days we worked on our seminars and we had to update or modify some things. And in some of the previous videos, we also talked about what we are doing for milestone 1 or what we are doing for milestone 2. So now, since tomorrow we will submit our final seminar paper, so I think it is good if we talk about the details today. So if we start.
So I will start from the beginning. If you are doing a good job, then it can happen that your draft paper is the final paper.
Yeah.
But often there is some feedback from your supervisor when you submit the draft paper.
Yeah.
There are some feedbacks he can give what you may have don't know previously. So for us, our supervisor actually read through the whole paper and then he gave us quite some feedback. The first feedback I would say is one important one is we had continuous paragraph.
Correct.
So one continuous paragraph when any user reads it, readers read it, then it gets monotonous. So
Yeah.
he may lose focus.
Yeah.
So he told us just think of something that can remove the monotony.
Yeah.
So what we did was we added some bullet points, add some header, and
Correct.
divided it into multiple paragraphs.
Correct.
So I think this actually made our paper quite readable as well.
Yeah.
And
I think also for the introduction part, like we have been told that we should add one paragraph summary,
Correct.
which will summarize what we'll do in the next topics. Next topic means in methodology, in our result, in our conclusion, how we'll proceed.
it should give a overview of the paper. That
Correct.
when the user is reading it,
Yeah.
after reading the introduction, he should have a basic idea that what is upcoming.
Correct. And
So-
also some of the language in this sense that first we are doing this, secondly, lastly. So in this way
Correct.
we had to add some points.
Correct.
And also I think we received some of the points or reviews in overleaf.
Correct.
When
In
we-
our ways where we actually modifying in the later, we actually had our session with our supervisor every Friday.
Yeah.
So for the last couple of sessions, we didn't submit the PDF. He directly checked it on Overleaf, and
Yeah.
he was checking our latex files, and he was instantly giving us feedback.
Correct.
So that was related to introduction and in results as well.
Yeah.
Initially, when we put all the information together, as we were just firstly putting all together, it got mixed up, and
Correct.
our paragraph were not summarized, or
Yeah.
like one sentence is not related to another.
Yeah.
So those kind of feedback we got, and
Yeah.
we modified our paragraph so that there is a single paragraph, maybe put a definition of
Yeah.
what you are doing, and then take 2-3 sentences and relate them.
Yeah.
That is another feedback.
Yeah.
Another feedback was about the references. Initially,
Yeah.
we put the references all in the beginning of the letter,
Yeah.
beginning of the sentence, but he said that the reference should be at least at the last or between. There were some other papers he
Yeah.
showed us the reference that see how this is work.
Yeah, correct. And since he's talking about the result part, so in result you are told that you divide it into sub paragraphs, because if you're reading 20-30 lines all in one, and if you break it down to suppose 2 or 3 paragraphs, then I think our supervisor said it is in more readable
Correct.
format. And about the reference, so in the starting what we were doing was we were first mentioning the reference name, like in paper 1, in paper 2, and we were referencing that. But our supervisor told that it is good if you just put the reference at the end of the line or at the end of the 2 lines.
Correct.
Then I think it's good enough, because first you give the overview, like what are you talking about, or suppose if you are mentioning, for example, for our paper some threshold, then you first define that threshold, and then you put the result part after that and explain that, and in try to explain that in your own language, because so that it is
It is more understandable,
more
yeah.
understandable for the viewer as well, or for the reader as well. So I think our supervisor was also quite supportive and giving her
And quite giving good
Yeah.
feedback, I would say.
yeah
Another good feedback was about the related work. Initially, we
Yeah.
only mentioned the what other has just did in related field.
yeah
But he said there should be some comparison, like this is how they have done it, this is how this is changed, or this is improved, or this is similar.
yeah
So that kind of feedback he gave us, and
Yeah.
we did that as well.
Yeah, so we had to change that part as well. And so what we did was, like in the modifications meeting, what used to happen was he used to show us some papers as well, that see, in this paper you can read and get an idea how they are expressing their related work, or how they want to mention the content. So you can just take an idea, not directly copy their content obviously, but you can take an idea that how you can structure, because I think this is also one of the first time in our masters we are writing some kind of seminar paper. So I think it is quite good. And also, as we discussed in our milestone, although I'll put the seminar videos link in description as well, but as we told that it's not mandatory, the weekly meeting, but I think it's good for improvement.
I would say it is good because
Yeah.
you do some improvement and then you discuss with the professor or supervisor
Yeah.
what happened for us. He gave us some comment in all that
Yeah.
latex, but
Yeah.
for the overleaf comment we didn't understand the comment properly, that what is
Yeah.
trying to say.
Yeah.
Then we on the
We asked-
discussion
we
day,
asked that
we
and-
asked directly
yeah.
that this is how we are thinking, and he still gave us feedback
Yeah.
that no, I was actually meaning this, so this
Yeah.
is how you can improve.
Yeah.
So that was a good feedback.
Yeah, and sometimes what used to happen was, suppose if we are not able to connect on Friday, then maybe before that or after that we can ask for a meeting and then we can get the points. So I think suppose if we meet after 2-3 weeks and the directions might differ, then I think we would have changed a lot of content.
Then we would not do it properly.
Yeah.
We will not be sitting every week, since we will say that
Yeah.
the deadline is 2-3 weeks
Yeah.
later.
So there might be some differences that can occur if we sit maybe not every week but every
I
3 or
think
4
the
weeks.
best way to do anything is to do it regularly.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
always best. So
It's good.
there is no doubt on that. So what we did was we we asked the supervisor and he said let's do a weekly meeting. So we had our weekly meeting, we had our weekly rehearsal of work, weekly modification.
Yeah.
So it happens like sometimes many people think they will do it overnight.
Yeah.
So for us, for some time we are working on it and it is
Yeah.
taking too much, or we are thinking okay,
Yeah.
maybe it is not a good time, we take a break. We
Yeah.
sit after 2-3 days later, and then in a fresh mind we think and we say okay, we
Yeah.
can thought it this way.
Yeah.
Because it's a literature, you are writing things.
Yeah, and I think this point our supervisor also mentioned that it's a good practice if you suppose from a fresh mind you read a paper, you read a particular paper, then you get to know what are the points I need to include or I need to summarize, because I think we added more than 30 papers we reference.
More than 30.
So like if we target that, if we have to do that in a day, then I think he suggested that you divide that, and suppose every day if you just read some of it and you
Some of it
discuss,
and
or
then
maybe suppose I wrote something or Muntasir wrote something, and then we cross check it or cross validate it. And I think these were some of the points that our supervisor suggested, but these points are from our experience and from our supervisor.
Correct.
This might change for your experience, for your supervisor, because techniques might differ, and because in some of the groups, I'm not sure, but
I have heard that some of the group they are not sitting weekly.
Yeah.
But what happened is like their supervisor said whenever you are doing something, if you are thinking
Yeah.
you did done,
Yeah.
mail it to us and then we will
Yeah.
review and let it know with feedback.
correct.
So it depends on supervisor to
Yeah,
supervisor.
so I think approach might differ, but this is our experience and I think it's going quite good, and this is our final milestone and we had to submit now I think our paper
Correct.
tomorrow. That's our final paper. Since it's a final paper, so I think whatever modifications are there, they will be done by today or by tomorrow afternoon, because by tomorrow evening we have to send our final paper. So these were some of the points where we had to modify our content based on the feedback of our supervisor. And sometimes, as we said, this used to happen that if we have some questions or some doubts, we also used to ask our supervisor, and I think 1 or 2 times this happened that some things got clarified, like
Yeah,
regarding the
that's
flow chart or the diagram.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was some confusion point and we
Yeah,
had
it was instantly clarified by our supervisor, and I think some of the good feedbacks, or I think every feedback has its own importance, but some of the feedbacks that we received were, I think, useful, quite useful.
Another point I would say here, that our supervisor has a good side,
Yeah.
that he actually don't enforce us to do something.
Yeah.
He shows us 2-3 paths, say you can do this way,
Yeah.
you can do say, and you can say, and
Yeah.
now you think which would a better approach.
Correct.
And you choose your own approach.
Yeah.
So we think okay, maybe this is the approach, or this is how we are doing things.
Yeah.
And then we just verify
Yeah.
with him that we are
Yeah.
doing things.
Yeah, so I think he tells from his perspective that how we can approach this thing. But if we suppose follow some other approach, or we take that as a base idea or a reference, and then we show him something, then after some of the discussions it gets finalized. So that's why I said that every review or every point that we received has its own importance.
Correct.
Some of them we used, or some of them we maybe used as a base for some other technique. So I think that's how it went
got
and
improved.
got improved, and I think it is good. And I hope you also get some idea about the seminar. You can watch the seminar related videos. I'll put the video links in the description, and you can also go to the RPTU Kaiserslautern playlist and you can see more of our beloved Muntasir's videos. So that's it. Rest, like, comment, share, subscribe. It doesn't take much time. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao. Namaste.
Assalamualaikum.
Chalo. See you in new day, new vlog.